Alright, so we're gonna go over a few of my favorite ab exercises. These are things that are gonna help you with your bigger lifts. They'll help you with your squats, your deadlifts, your presses, your rows, and I'll kind of explain what I mean. The first one being, I like to use the plank. It's a timeless classic, and I'm gonna explain a way to make the plank a bit trickier and kind of keep you in line. So this is just your traditional plank, and if you look, my elbows are kind of below my shoulders. So what I like to program for people is a longer lever plank. Usually I'll get them to bend their knees slightly, and then probably hold this for, if you're a beginner, 30 seconds. If you're getting really good at it, 60 seconds. If you're finding that 60 seconds is easy, just bring your elbows even more forward. I'll usually do that before I add load. We're gonna hop out of that because that's exhausting. The next exercise I'm going to demonstrate is going to be a dead bug. So, with the dead bug, in past videos we've gone over kind of the stacking of the rib cage and the pelvis. We have the external cue of the floor for our back. So I get here, I'm gonna bring my knees up, and I have this external cue of the floor from my back. And what I mean by that is I'm pressing my back into the floor. So my abs are on to maintain this. And if I was standing upright, my rib cage would be down rather than flared. This is flared, not flared. Then you have a few options here. You can start from here, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, or, because sometimes it's tricky to move all the limbs like that, keep your arms where they're at, inhale, exhale. And then as you get good at that, as I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep everything here still. If I was getting lazy with it, this is what it would look like. So this is the refined version where I'm bringing my knees in, keeping my abs engaged, ribs down, pelvis stacked underneath, so you'd be able to draw a cross section here. Inhale. All right, so next exercise, I am basically going to refer to the bear position for a lot of different things. You might hear some other trainers call it the beast position or some other thing. The reason why I call it bear is you get in this spot here and you kind of look like a bear. So one of the exercises that I do with this is a bear reach. So it's alternating reaches. So the cues that I'll use is when you're getting into this position, A, I'm going to get you to pretend there is a glass of water on your back. And then B, I'm going to get you to think about pressing your mid-low back to the ceiling, as if you're just trying to go up the elevator. You get in this position. Before you extend one of your arms, you're going to inhale, and then you're going to exhale. So that's another good ab exercise. The way I would format that and the dead bug, if you're doing this on your own, set an interval timer and do it for like 45 to 60 seconds, then rest for 45 to 60 seconds. Next exercise is going to be a side plank. So with the side plank, there's a few ways you can do this. You can do it like this, where you're going to stack shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then to get the rest of your body, you can reach your arm to stack the rest of your joints. But what I have found is quite a few people find that kind of uncomfy here. So the alternative is on your forearm. You get yourself set up like this. But then I have another one. So like this, and then you're gonna create a bit more of a gap. And kind of with this setup, you're sort of biasing it to get the rib cage position. If you're right on your side, you can kind of do it like this or like this. So if we get a slight angle, then essentially if I was upright, trying to press away from my body and create the biggest gap here that I can, So on the floor, again, it looks like this, and then angle. So if we were straight on, I'll be up and about a 45 degree. For this, I would hold that for probably 30 to 45 seconds per side. And then the next one, we're gonna use a weight and a bench. So I'm gonna grab a weight, I'm gonna use that bench. So for this, you just need a moderate weight. This is what I refer to as a front foot elevated. I would call it a plate chop. We're using a dumbbell, so just call it a wood chop. So get my lead foot in the front. Gonna start with this at my hip. The one thing that I often have that happens when I'm showing this to clients is they think this requires a rotation. For this specific exercise, we don't need to rotate. The cues that I'll use is getting the hamstrings involved. Some things that I'll reflect on are if your hamstring's doing something, your abs are doing something. If your abs are doing something, your hamstrings are doing something. So by basically from the side profile, I'll get my foot elevated and then grip forward. That's gonna light up your hamstrings. Core is gonna be braced. Your body is gonna stay like this. So I'll actually demo it from that angle. Starting with this side, foot, grip, pull, hamstrings on. Starting at my hip, I'm trying to face my shoulders forward. From here, I'm gonna inhale, exhale. At the bottom, or at the end, I'm reaching my arms as far as I can. If this is heavy, either lighten the load or change the angle of your arms down about 45 degrees. So going through the motions here, this is what an alternative would look like. This is as high as you ever need to go. When you're going through this, you probably feel like your obliques. You probably feel a little bit arms, but mostly abs. If I change sides, get the front foot elevated, start at the hips, get the hamstrings involved, see how my body kind of changes when the hamstrings are fired up versus if I'm like loosey-goosey. It's a lot easier to do this. If you get the hamstrings on, I'm kind of like sturdy and solid. Inhale, exhale. And I'll show one more with another dumbbell. This one I'll go lighter because I know it's brutal. And it's a good lesson that sometimes you just go lighter with the weight and everything is okay. So this is basically, I call this a long lever iso. I'll actually spin the bench around. And the purpose of this is the same as a plank, but different. So it's kind of like changing the load. Instead of it being body weight, it's external weight. So I usually use a bench because it's adding stability, but then you also have to keep your body stacked to keep yourself from toppling over. So for this, you're gonna wanna inhale, exhale. Notice how my torso kind of changed. I am sort of braced. Rib cage is dropped. I probably look a little bit less like I have a beer belly, so that's kind of helpful. Extend my arms. Then you'd set a timer for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds and just hold this. The benefits of an exercise like that is you get more familiar with like the mind-muscle connection of like how do we stack our rib cage and pelvis. Well, it's like that thing we did where we held an iso. Then you go over to the squat and say, okay, do that thing we did and squat. And then with the deadlift, you get that same position and deadlift. Whoop. And those would be a few of the basic core exercises that I would prescribe, but the sky is the limit.